Hi, this is Jerry Maynard of Soul Success. Glad you joined us. We're talking about the black race and the black community. I believe the community can mean worldwide, global, or community can mean your neighborhood, community can mean your household. But when we're talking about black experience here in America, the question is, are we successful? Soul success, because I always deal with the soul, that inner person, who you really are on the inside. But as a race, are we successful? If you look at the stats, let's go over the stats. Unemployment among African Americans is the lowest it's ever been in the history of the country, I guess, since slavery. The wealth gap between blacks and whites is the lowest, smallest it's ever been in that gap. African Americans are achieving extreme success. Black women are the #1 demographic for starting their own businesses. College graduation rates among African Americans are the highest it's ever been. Yet when you ask black folk, is the black race successful? Well, if we look at Kamala Harris, who's running for president of the United States, that's progress. We already had a black president. So when we ask the question, is the black race and the black experience in America, are we successful? What's the answer? I've got Rod Wright with me, my dear friend, buddy, and also my business partner in some of the ventures that we do. He's an entrepreneur, father, and husband. What's up, Rod?
What's going on, Mr. Maynard?
I want to answer that question.
Can you ask me a question one more time? Because you said a lot in
Is
that
the
opening.
black experience, the black race experience, African American race experience in America, are we successful?
We are successful, but we don't tell our own stories. When we get to a certain level, we let the mass media tell our stories. You know, everybody can be a blogger now, and then anybody can pick up a phone and record and tell somebody else's story. So then you worked your whole life, and now I'm telling your story, she's telling your story, he's telling your story, and it gets washed out, especially if they're not of your community. And that's what's been going on with this. People get to a certain level in life, and then everybody else tells their story. And depending on who you listen to, some of it's going to be negative,
Right.
some of it's going to be positive.
Right.
But we don't have that collective black source like BET or somewhere else where, you know, we have local black papers here, but we don't have that collective black source around the nation to say, no, this is our story, this is how it is.
So success for me, and I want to talk to you about this, success then success doesn't mean that everybody's making the same amount of money. Success doesn't mean that everybody is living in Beverly Hills. Success is, what do you value, right? What do you want to achieve? What are your value system? What do you want to achieve? What is it that you truly want and desire? And if you accomplish that, that's good. As a community, are we working together? And as a community, are we loving one another, that we want each person in our community to succeed? I think that we do a disservice to the black experience here in America when everything is just negative, 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 and we're not talking about the accomplishments. For example, I'll go back to black women. Black women graduation rates one of the highest in America. Black women starting businesses, #1 demographic in starting businesses. So when you look at that, but then if you ask, well, the marriage rate ain't where it needs to be. Okay, but that doesn't mean that we're failing. It doesn't mean that black women are failing. It just means in that one area, we're deficient. But we shouldn't then have a whole swap of saying all black women are not successful just because the marriage rate isn't where they want it to be.
Well, I would say this. The media got us because we think redlining was bad for us. When has it been a time where we're around our own people,
Right.
and that's bad for us?
Wow.
I don't care about bank loan.
Yeah.
I don't care about what they trying to put in the schools. We're around each other. We can teach ourselves. We can grow businesses ourselves. We can have our own community, our own economy. And you think I'm crazy? Look at every other race around here.
Right.
Latinos are coming in and people crossing the border. They're living with each other. They're building up their wealth within one house, within one community. They're going to be buying up a lot of buildings around here very soon. Maybe not in Nashville, but in these other cities. So we allow other people to tell our stories and then nitpick us out through the school systems, through jobs and careers, and say, this person's better than you because they work as a lawyer. But then that person has $100,000 in debt, and the person that has no debt at all, you know, feels like that.
The plumber who makes $200,000 a year, right?
And then we convince our younger generation and our women in our community to be like, I only want the basketball player, the movie star, the person. If the plumber does make $200,000 a year, yeah, he needs to look like the basketball player. Because if you look like the fat Bob over here, I don't want you.
Right.
So now, back to the beginning of the story that we've been telling here is our narrative. We let other people tell our narratives, and society has put us against one another.
So speaking of narrative and telling our narrative, haven't we failed in this area in our music? Because it seems like in our music, with R&B and rap, I will tell you, when I was growing up, we used subtleties, love songs. The nastiest song we had is "Do You Think I'm a Nasty Girl?" that was the most raunchiest song. Now, that song is rated G compared to what the music. So, when you say telling our narrative, maybe we've done a disservice to ourselves in the music, or am I just an old man who just can't relate?
Well, the problem is we don't own our music. We're allowing them to tell our narrative again.
Wow. So they will only play music when we are degrading ourselves.
Well, no, you might have black execs, but they don't own the whole music label.
Correct.
Radio stations. Who's a person over iHeartRadio?
You're right.
So we don't have those job titles to say, hey, boom, boom, boom. And now the people that want to make music have to compete with the raunchiness on the radio, the raunchiness at the club, at the hookah bar, because that's what we now been programmed to listen to. So if I want to start rapping, Rod212 if you want to check me out. Yeah. You know, sometimes you might have to say a few bars that just, whoa, right. Because now you compete, everybody else, the consumer now hears those type of bars and lyrics and those R&B songs, and it's so successful. I won't quote any lyrics, but they hear that all the time, and they're drinking to it, they're driving to work to it, they're cleaning up the house to it, and now it's just in their minds all the time. So now you have to compete with the craziest thing because, you know, we have conscious rappers out there, but they really don't get love.
So do you really have to do that just because the market says that they want this? Doesn't mean you have to do it.
Yeah, but I don't see you driving a 1972 car.
I don't drive a 1972 car because I don't think it's reliable.
But if I could give you a nice, reliable car and it look like a hoopty for 1942, you know, you're not going to do it because that's not the market of the day if you want to compete with the young guys and the young talent out there. Okay. You got to always be up and current. This is the up and current wave.
So let's go back to the internal. I talk about the internal.
Yep.
You have to have conviction. You shouldn't sell your soul to make money or get on the radio station. And that's what's happening with P. Diddy and all them, is that you found out with Clive Davis and P. Diddy, these people literally had to sell their soul and give up their body in order for them to get to the stage where they can sing at the Super Bowl. You know who I'm talking about. I ain't gonna mention his name. But what did you have to give up? What did you have to sell? You had to sell your soul, your very who you are, in order to get there. Now that's pretty bad.
But once you get a taste of this life,
I'm talking about that success.
The success
Yeah.
in any industry, you don't want to go back to where you were.
Right.
So if you're, I don't want to say names. So if you're in that high life, celebrities,
right,
women everywhere, yacht parties, if you the exec at a music label or basketball team owner or something like that and say, hey, Rod, man, I want you to come over here to Monaco with me. I want to go to Monaco every year.
Right.
So if I'm not strong enough and I don't have my community around me, you might start to do things that, because people start to see the change in you. And I remember Drake had this quote that he said that his mom said one time. She said, I look into your eyes and see that that person is still in you.
Wow.
And really, your family, your people that's known you all your life, they don't know when something's different.
Right.
If it's a change starting to happen, somebody will say something. But it's got to be that individual, that soul in you that you talk about, the success inside, to say, hey, I don't want to go down. I don't have to go to Monaco next year. Right. I did it one time. Right. That was fun. Right. I don't need to do that every year. But some people, they don't have a family around them. And we talked earlier about somebody when, you know, a father is the drug dealer and the kids say, hey, I don't want to be a drug dealer because look at this life it's provided me. And you asked a question, you said, hey, when do we break that cycle?
Yeah.
And that's the multi-billion-dollar question for our community.
Because I look at it this way. If somebody says to me, my son or my daughter, or I said, hey, there was no father in the household, so therefore I didn't learn how to be a man, or I didn't learn how to do this, and so I just followed in the footsteps of the man that wasn't there or the man that was there and gave me bad habits. At some point in time, there has to be some self-accountability for me to say, I'm gonna break that chain, I'm gonna break that generational curse, I'm gonna break that thing for myself. Now, we also have to then say, but you are sometimes a creature of your environment. My deal is for the black community and black race. I don't want to I don't want to give a message, Rod, of some like, stars and that we don't have any problems. But I think the black folks need to control our narrative that we are the chosen people. We are the original people. We were the kings and the pharaohs. We got to tell our story that we're not only successful, but we have provided success for the world. And I think we continue to tell that story. Hopefully people will change their music and stop creating this crap and start creating music that celebrates us, celebrate our people. Now, I may be an old fuddy-duddy, but one time, man, I went to a place and the music that the women were singing, I said, do you know what the words coming out well, they don't apply to me. Okay.
They see it as entertainment.
It's
not just women, men too. Because men are singing songs about killing somebody.
Yeah.
Selling dope to the neighbors in their community.
Right.
But you hear it so much, it becomes it's part of the food you eat.
Yeah.
If you eat garbage all the time,
or feed your soul garbage.
Yeah, the same thing. You're going to start to gain weight. Same thing. If I listen to this music all the time, as I gotten older, especially, I realized I don't live a lot of this life. Excuse me. I transitioned over to audiobooks.
Right.
Because I need to feed my soul this good information. I need to study strategies from not just our people, but from other cultures, other races, and see what they're dealing with. Because what I learned is they have a lot of the same stories that we have, just in a different way. It's slightly different, but it's the same struggle, and it's about overcoming struggle.
Right.
So it's about feeding our souls and then saying, well, it's a problem, how do I make the solution? So now we see a problem with our culture, which a lot of people do, but it takes a lot of courage to get in front of a camera and start to talk this truth, because there's other brothers and sisters out here that's having this same fight with either kids, neighbors, co-workers. They're having the same fight. Like, what are you listening to?
Right.
What are you feeding yourself?
What's our culture?
And we need to all get together, because that's one of the problems with the younger generation, especially. The people who really don't have everything going on, they can easily pick up a phone, and you talked about this before, and post somewhere, show everybody they're feeling good. But the people who's actually doing good, that top tier lawyer, that business owner, the coffee shop owner, the truck driver, the bus driver, they don't pick up their phones. They the everyday people. They the backbones of our society, and we overlook them as a culture in these jobs like they're low-wage jobs, when we should be lifting up them. So what we need to do, and I'll kick it back over to you, is we need to start to tell the everyday man story and say, no, this is us as a people. Not the celebrities, not people that make over 6 figures, but the people that make $20,000 to $50,000. That's our narrative, that's our story, that's who we are.
And a lot of celebrities have fame and no money, because you ain't making no money now with music. I'm telling you. Here's the other thing I want to do is say this. My generation, I'm in my 50s, he's in his 30s. What I'm also learning is a lot of people don't want to be lectured to. A lot of people don't want to be told, do this because I said so. I know that the young people who are younger than me are tired of people saying to them, do this because I said so. We have to explain, we have to communicate. We literally have to, as Rod has challenged me, is that we've got to be very intentional in our communication and break it down step by step by step, explaining, talking, and engaging, authentic connection, as opposed to me saying, do so because I said so, or that's wrong, or that's not right, or whatever. No, we've got to share values, and we got to share our communication, and we got to control our narrative. We are a successful people. For people that by law were prohibited from reading, prohibited from owning property, prohibited from owning businesses, prohibited from protecting our own bodies, from a people that went through that by law, and now to have a black president, and we're going to have a black woman president, for us to come and do what we've done, there's no greater race on this earth than we, because we've overcome so much to get so far with so little. This is Soul Success. I'm Jerry Maynard. Join us next week. So glad you joined us today.